Okay, welcome family. Again, one more video on the rotator cuff experts. This video is going to be on the day of surgery. There's lots of things that happen on the day of surgery. We try to make sure that most of the things that we have to decide, most of the things we have to do is we take care of before the day of surgery, but there's certain things that have to happen on the day of surgery. So the first thing is you're going to get a call the day before surgery and say, this is when you need to be at the surgery center or the hospital. So make sure you know when that is, where that is, right? Because it's probably not going to be the same place as you saw your doctor or your pre-op appointment. So make sure you understand how to get there. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time. Also, they're going to tell you not to eat or drink or anything after midnight most of the time. Now, sometimes if it's going to be really, really late in the day, they may say you can have something to eat or drink before or early in the morning, but just double check with that when you get the call the day before. When can I eat? When can I drink? When can I not eat? And when can I not drink? Make sure also that you have your pain medicine and all the scripts you're given. There's maybe multiple medicines they give you for the day of surgery, the day after surgery, and the subsequent days after surgery. So just make sure you have it. Make sure you have it at home. So the day of surgery, you don't have to have anybody go out there and get your prescription filled. Because sometimes it may be hard to find a pharmacy that will fill all the prescriptions. So just make sure you have the prescriptions done. Also, they're going to tell you what you should and what you can and what you can't take. There's certain medicines that are important to take even the day of surgery, certain blood pressure medicines, also certain medicines that are very important for you not to take, any anti-inflammatories within your blood, or any of the medicines that may interact with the medicines they will give you the day of surgery. When you start thinking about the surgery and what's going to happen after surgery, when you're going to get home, start thinking about the day of surgery. You want to make sure you have everything set for when you get home. Again, make sure you have your medicines. Make sure you know where you're going to sleep. Are you going to sleep in a bed? Are you going to sleep in a recliner? Are you going to sleep in a bed with a wedge or just a bed with pillows? All those things are important to know and get kind of set up before you get home the day of surgery. So if you want a wedge, there's lots of different places to get a wedge. Obviously, Amazon, you can get a wedge. There's several different kind of wedges, and we'll talk about wedges in a later program. But it's important to know what you're going to use and what you need for the day of surgery so that you don't have to worry about on the day of surgery. Ice is really important. So if you get an ice machine, you're going to need ice to put in it. If you don't get an ice machine, you do put ice on your shoulder, you're going to need ice to put on the shoulder. The ice machines actually take a lot of ice. So make sure you stock up on ice. You probably need a few bags of ice if you're going to use a machine. You probably need that anyway if you're going to use it. If you're not going to use you're not going to use a machine for your ice, because you need to make sure you have plenty of ice on hand. Make sure you bring some good loose-fitting clothing when you go into the surgery, because after surgery you're gonna have a big bulky dressing on your shoulder. You're gonna have a sling or a immobilizer, so that big bulky dressing doesn't go over very well with tight clothing. So make sure you have a button-up or something easy to get on and off of your shirt. Also make sure you don't bring your glasses. Make sure you don't bring your contacts, bring your glasses. Contacts are probably best not to have the day of surgery. We don't want contacts when you go to sleep, and we want to make sure you can see, so glasses are the best option for that. And also no jewelry. We don't want to be responsible. We don't want to make sure, don't want to have any problems with losing jewelry. So the best you can, the minimal amount of jewelry that you bring with you is really important. When you get to the hospital or get to the surgery center, you're going to step in, you're going to go into check-in. Check-in is where they will confirm who you are, so you make sure you have your ID, make sure you have your insurance card, and you may have to pay what's remaining, maybe not, but be prepared for interaction with pre-op. And then you're going to get to the pre-op holding area. That's where the nurse is going to come, mostly going to start an IV, going to talk to you about what's happening, what the plan is, where you are in the schedule of the day for the surgeon. And then the next step, most likely you're going to talk to the anesthesiologist. Most of the time with the shoulder surgery, we're going to give you a block. Not all the time. In my practice, almost all the time, but there's other practices that maybe not. So we're going to give you a block. So you talk to the anesthesia. Anesthesia is going to tell you about, what the block's like, where they're going to put it, and get that set up. And then lastly, you're going to talk with the surgeon, and you're going to have any other questions you have not asked so far. And hopefully there's not really any major questions you have not asked before. We talked about this in a previous video, making sure you have lots of questions to bring to your pre-op visit. Pre-op visit is an excellent time to ask questions that you didn't ask when you decided you're going to have surgery. So that pre-op visit is super important, so that you don't have very many questions to ask on the day of surgery. Also important, if you're going to have someone come with you the day of surgery, and to take you home, which you have to have, you also want to make sure that same person is in the office with you pre-op. Because if they're in the pre-op, so they've already heard all the story before. Because we're going to find out later that it's important for them to hear it several times. If they're going to hear it in your pre-op, you're going to hear it from you, and then you're going to hear it in the post-op. Because after surgery, someone's going to come and talk with your family or your friend, whoever's bringing you. The surgeon will, I do, and then we're going to tell you all about what happened in the surgery and what's next. And if they've never heard the story about what's going to happen, they don't know any idea what was going to happen. They don't have any idea what's supposed to happen. So we want to make sure we are consistent, make sure we have people around us that were there at the pre-ops and they're there at the post-op, so that they kind of get some understanding of what's going on, so they make sure they can translate that to you. Because it's the first time they ever heard anything about surgery, the day of surgery, they may have a hard time translating it to you, and that's going to make you frustrated, and then you're going to call the office the next day and say, hey, what happened? I don't know what happened. Because even if the surgeon talks to you the day of surgery, most likely you're not going to remember it. Because of the anesthesia you have, the likelihood of me talking to you or your surgeon talking to you and you remembering and recalling it clearly later that day or the next day is very unlikely. So it's important to have someone with you the day of surgery in the same person that was with you the pre-op appointment. Again, you may not remember, so make sure you have someone with you. Also, make sure you confirm on that day. Make sure you confirm the medicines you want to take, the timing of the medicines. Hopefully you're gonna have a handout that says all the detailed instructions as far as what to do post-operatively, but it's also good to talk with your doctor about that, or your family talk to the doctor after surgery. Also, there'll be nurses after surgery. Before you leave, you're gonna talk with the nurses. The nurse is gonna give you that list. So making sure that your family is understanding that list is important, and make sure they understand that list so they can translate that to you later or the next day when you kind of come to more of your senses after surgery. So that's important. Make sure you ask questions. If you have any last questions for your surgeon, make sure you ask the anesthesia about what's going to happen, general surgery, general anesthesia, and the injections, the block, and make sure you're as prepared as you can be. Because the day of surgery, there's lots of things going on, and if you can be prepared before that, it'll make the day of surgery much easier. And again, make sure that someone goes with you to the pre-op and also goes with you to the surgery, and that's the same person, so they can better understand what happened, what was supposed to happen, and translate that to you in the future. So the final thing here is marking the site, right? The surgeon will see you, and then the surgeon will say, hey, which side we're working on today? And some people think it's funny to say the opposite side. It's actually not really funny, because we actually have to be really careful not to do wrong side surgery. And so when we ask you what side it is, understand that we know what side it is. We know we have it. It's on the consent. It says what side. But understand that question is going to be answered. It's going to have to be asked and answered many times that day. And it's not because we don't know. It's because we have to abide with the rules of the state, rules of the medical board. So we're going to ask you which side many times. And it's not because we don't know. It's because we want to make sure we're safe and take care of you well. If you have any questions, any thoughts, please send the comments down below. And we'll continue to do these surgery videos to make sure everybody understands the best way to get through this difficult time. Thank you, Dr. Dan Orcutt, orthopedic surgeon, rotator expert. Have a good day.